How many of you left your offices to come to this seminar today with paper strewn all over the place? Okay, how many of you have it stacked neatly? We won't even talk about the floor or your chair. But I'm here today to help you become more productive. And so we need to start with that paper. Americans use a lot of paper. We talk about the computer age and a paperless environment. I hope by now that we all realize that that's never going to happen. There will always be paper in our lives. I read a report recently that said 150 hours a year. 150 hours a year is how many hours an individual spends looking for something. Where was that document? Where did I put my passport? Looking for something. That's over 12 hours a month. We talk about time management and needing more time and running out of time. Wouldn't you like to have those 12 hours back? Managing paper isn't as difficult as it seems. I have a tool that you can use so that you can streamline the papers, be more effective, efficient, and productive at work and at home, for that matter. You know, there's something called the physics of clutter. I'm changing it up a little bit. We'll call it the physics of paper. Physics has to do with force, energy, and motion and how things all work together. Well, the physics of paper is you can get in that snail mail, that agenda, that memo, even that email without any action on your part. But the point is, it takes action on your part to get it out of your life. And sometimes that's what we do. We just kind of say, oh, I'll deal with it later. See if this sounds familiar. You have a stack of paper on your right. And you say, today's the day I'm getting rid of all this stuff. So you pick up the first paper and you look at it and you say, oh yes, I need to respond to that. So you put it down on your left. The next piece of paper, oh wow, that deadline's coming up, I better work on that. And so pretty soon the pile on your right becomes the pile on your left. Nothing has changed except its location. So how do we handle that? There's actually only 3 things you can do with the paper in your life. Just 3. And I've got an acronym for you. F-A-T. Fat. It's the only time when fat is a good thing in your life, when we're talking about paper. The F is for file, the A is for act, and the T is for toss. File, act, or toss. So let's start with the first one. I'm sure many of us have files. We know what files are. But did you know you need to basically have 3 different types of files when you're working in a work environment? The first type of file is your action files. These are the files that you are referring to that information, looking at that flow chart, using that all the time. So that's your action files, the things that you touch daily and weekly. And those need to be in the environment closest to you. So if your environment is a typical desk, that's the kind of files you want to have in your desk drawer. The next set of files are reference files. These files are things that you occasionally reference or that you need to keep until the next term. Reference files don't need to be right at your fingertips. They can be behind you, they can be in a file cabinet, and they also can be purged. Do you realize that 80% of the paper that we file, we never use again? 80%. We could reduce all the file cabinets in America by 80%. So your reference files are those files that you refer to only occasionally or monthly. And the last files are the archive files. These are the files that you are mandated to keep for a certain period of time. In your personal life, the best analogy is your tax returns. You need to keep those for the IRS in case you have an audit. Perhaps in your work you've got retention guidelines, and there's all kinds of laws now, Sarbanes-Oxley and HIPAA, that require how you keep the information and how long it is kept. So sometimes you need those archive files. Those archive files don't even need to be in your office, maybe not even in your building. Those archive files are the files that you're keeping for reference. The most important thing about those is that they're cataloged and indexed. So if you ever needed to pull out that information, which is rare, you can go right to it and get to it. So 3 types of files: action, reference, and archive. How many of you have all 3 of those files in the same drawer? How many of you say, I can't find anything? That's right, that's why. We need to separate the superfluous from the things that we use every day. So that's file. The next one, the next item, the next action you can take with paper is action. The A in FAT stands for act on it. This is when the ball is in your court. So perhaps you get a memo and it says that you need to create the agenda for the next meeting for your team. That's an action you need to take. Now sometimes, just because you need to take the action doesn't mean that you can't delegate it. And that's a whole nother talk about delegation. That's an art. But we need to sometimes remember that we can do that. So sometimes you need to act on things. So how do I act on it? How do I not let it slip between the cracks? Some people say, I have to keep it right in front of me so I don't forget to do it. And other people tell me, I like to have it tucked away. I like my desk cleared off so that I can focus on the task at hand. Either way is fine. But how are you going to act on it? Oftentimes information comes in with deadlines. Take the deadline information and put it on your calendar. Throw the paper away. You've recorded it where you're going to see it, where you're going to be able to find it again. So calendars help with that. Also, contact management databases help with that. Certain industries have their own type of contact management database based on the type of clients that they have. Others of us are real familiar with Outlook. So take the information, you get somebody's phone number, take it, put it in your contact management database, and throw away that business card, throw away that paper. Just get it out. And the last and most important part of this FAT acronym is TOSS. Now you might be saying, oh, Natalie, I know how to throw things away. Do you really? Do you remember what I said a minute ago? We keep 80% of things that we aren't going to use again. 80%. So we must have an issue with tossing. There are some questions you can ask yourself in order to help you get rid of things, to let go. And when you let go, you're going to love it. It just takes a physical and emotional weight off your shoulders to get that out of your mind, out of your peripheral. So the questions you want to ask are, is it recent enough to be useful? Am I able to get it again? Your fellow coworkers who aren't in this seminar, they're going to have it. You can get rid of it. Are there tax or legal implications? Obviously, if the answer is yes, please hang on to it. And if you have any doubt, hang on to it until you can find out. Is it recent enough to be useful? And the best question of all, what's the worst thing that could happen if I didn't have this? We have the internet. All of us are on it every day. And when you're ready to do something, to take an action, and you need to find out how much it costs, are you going to go into your file and look that up, or are you going to click on the internet to see the current prices? So remember, you've got some other tools at your disposal in this modern age, and you can let go of some of that paper and free yourself from the agony of holding on to it. So again, 3 things you can do with paper: file, act, or toss. Use that FAT system today. Go back and start today and challenge yourself to see in 10 minutes, how much paper can I eliminate? and let me know how great it feels.